Well, good afternoon and welcome to Seattle's Eastside Real Estate Team's podcast. It's your go-to source for living, working, and playing on the East Side. Today is Wednesday, May 17th, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Please feel free to comment. If you have any questions on today's content, we're happy to respond live and in person if you've got any questions, comments, or concerns. Today, we are joined by our good friend Tucker Maxwell of Guild Mortgage, and we are going to do a little crosstalk segment here. And actually, from a logistical purpose, so that I can actually talk to you rather than at the above me, I'm going to move things around here. This is live editing in person logistics. Boom. Okay, there we go. So now I can actually look at you rather than looking at that video up there. All right. So we're going to talk. Today's topic is things that you need to know before moving to the Seattle area. Now, this is the East Side podcast. So we're talking a lot about the East Side, but a lot of folks when they first hear or consider or think about moving, it's always a conversation about moving to Seattle, and then it becomes like, where in Seattle? And I love Seattle. I've been here since since 93. Tucker, how long have you been in the greater Seattle area?
Since 2005.
2005. So, there's a lot a lot of places to explore. And so sometimes that search will start out like moving to Seattle. So we're going to talk about moving to Seattle and some of the pros and cons, what you need to know. So we'll kind of start out about the location. Like, Seattle is kind of almost like the forgotten area. A lot of times people talk about LA, on the West Coast. Well, we're also on the West Coast. And other times people fly up to Alaska and they think, oh, that's the farthest, west. And really Seattle is kind of like this little spot located on the Puget Sound. The Puget Sound is kind of like this intercoastal sea waterway, I guess it is called. And it's not on the ocean, but it is on a sound, which is beautiful, fantastic scenery. So Tucker, did I leave anything out there? What else did people need to know about Seattle and where we're located?
No, I think you nailed it. I think going back to your Alaska comment that's really how Seattle got its big start, was back in the gold rush, when this was the last kind of stop before you headed up to Alaska to find gold.
Oh, that's a total good point. As a matter of fact, that's a lot of the supplies that were delivered to the Yukon passed through Seattle, up from San Francisco to Seattle. The jumping off points, a lot of times when people came back with their big hauls, they came to Seattle. Yeah, I love that. Way to bring the history out, Dad. Good job. Yeah. All right. So we're not going to lie. Seattle is known for rainy weather. What would you say, Tucker? How rainy is it?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people picture, when you say Seattle and rain, they picture torrential downpours like it does in the South, where here it just rains buckets day in and day out. And that's really not true. I think the real reality of the rain here is it's just a misty gray often. And so it's not a bunch of inches of rain, but just gray and misty most days.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I've born and raised in the Northwest, so my first stop was in the Portland area before I moved to Seattle. So the temperament for not seeing the sun for months or weeks, it's already there ingrained in me. But SAD is a real thing, which is I can't remember it's an acronym for depression related to lack of sunlight. So there's a lot of gray time, but the truth is, people are really kind of come here. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've had people come here because they're like, we're just sick of it being so hot and we just want to have it cool a little bit. And they just kind of love the cool and lack of sun. And also too, do you ever hike in the rain?
Yeah, often.
Yeah, me too. It's not a big deal, right? Because you got trees and canopies and stuff like that. So the bluest skies you've ever seen are in Seattle. That is a song, I think. So let's talk a little bit. I wouldn't say this is a negative, but it can be portrayed as a negative. Tucker, one of the things about Seattle is the cost of living, right? It's actually higher than a lot of cities across the United States. It may be a challenge for folks if they're not accustomed to it, especially in the housing market. Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But what I will say is what Seattle, I want to say it probably changed in the early 90s when the tech industry took its foothold from Microsoft and really started to create an industry where folks that sat inside and coded all day in the rain could actually make money. So there is, of course, a lot of technology jobs, which is what is driving the cost of living. Do you see a lot of people with, a lot of tech sector in your loan applications?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say it makes up a majority of our applications are people that are employees of one of five or six tech companies.
Yeah. So with all of those great salaries come a higher cost of living.
Yep.
Everything from the groceries you buy to the utilities that you spend. But the good news is it's not just the tech sectors. What are some of the other industries that are prevalent here in the Seattle area?
Yeah, so I think you have a coffee sector. That's one. Of course, Starbucks has driven that. You have Boeing, so aerospace, not just in airplane manufacturing, but all the supply that comes with aerospace. And then I think we talked about this recently on one of your podcasts is the space boom, and Redmond now really on the east side taking off as a space location with SpaceX and Blue Origin and a few other kind of outer exploration companies coming in.
Yeah, engineers are going to find something to do here for sure.
Totally.
Between Boeing and Blue Origin. Blue Origin's in Renton, right? Down.
Yeah, I think technically Kent, but yeah, on the south end of the east side.
Okay, cool. Let's see what else. Transportation. So one of the great things about Seattle is they have invested heavily over the last 20 years in a light rail system. So you've got a light rail system, and then you've got connector transit all throughout the city. So you can get from the airport all the way up to Northgate, which is north of downtown Seattle. And I don't know about you, Tucker, but I actually hop on the light rail and I head down to a ball game. I don't even bother parking. I take the light rail down there, and I know Bellevue opened up. I think it's opening soon.
It's opening soon. I actually have a view of the east side rail, and they're testing the cars now, but it hasn't opened. I think there's some delays on the bridge.
Yeah, I should probably have done some research on that, but I do believe it's going to go. It is planned to go all the way out to Redmond.
Correct.
Right now, I believe it's to Overlake is supposed to be opening soon, which is actually still Redmond, but through downtown Bellevue across the Mercer Island. So that's an island in the middle of Lake Washington. So lots of transportation. Yeah, there can be traffic. I think that as major cities go, this is a fact. When the economy is booming, there's always traffic. So it doesn't matter about the size of the city. It's actually the economy. So the signs of a healthy city are ones with traffic. Well, and there's maybe gridlock, but it's better people moving around than it is no business, no work. Right? You got to shut the place down. Sports. Tucker, do you watch any major league sports?
I do. Season ticket holder with the Sounders, so go Sounders. You said the bluest skies are in Seattle. That's a Sounders chant. The greenest green and the bluest blue you've ever seen is right here in Seattle, and that's due to supporting our Sounders.
Yeah, and Sounders have won how many MLS championships? Two.
They've won two, correct?
Two.
Yep. Been to three. 1-2.
Gotcha. And then let's see, football. We've won a Super Bowl, the Seahawks. Great
That's right.
football team. We have a Major League Rugby team, which I'm a big fan of the rugby team. We have a hockey team that made it to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Did you watch any of those hockey games?
I did. Yeah, Game 7 was a little bit of a disappointment, but man, hockey, I've really gotten into it this year, with the Kraken being around for 2 years, and I'm just blown away with the skill level of those hockey players.
Yeah. And Major League Baseball. So we've got the Mariners who made the playoffs for the first time in 21 years last year. So, and they've got a young upcoming ball club. So if you like sports, I'll also add the arts, right? We have Paramount Theater. We have Fifth Avenue Theater. We have, I'm going to forget some. There's a couple in Seattle Center that are, I can't remember the name of it. But I mean, and then music. I mean, the reason why I came to Seattle was the music scene. So
I'm right there with you.
yeah. I'm trying to think. The Paramount has great music. White River Amphitheater, that's out south of Auburn, southeast of Auburn. But Columbia Gorge, which is a short drive, maybe 2 hours from the east side, 2.5 maybe. Some great music out there. I think, don't they do the country music festival out there too? I don't really know because I don't listen to a lot of country music, but
Yeah, I'm drawing a
Stagecoach,
blank on the name.
Stagecoach, something like that. I don't know.
Stagecoach is in California, and
Oh,
it is I'll draw a blank. But yeah, they call it Heaven's Amphitheater. I think it's on most music lovers' bucket list to see a concert at the Gorge.
yes, I've been out there several times. I've seen Dave Matthews out there. I've seen what was Fish. Oh, that was awesome. A lot of fun.
Yep. I saw Tom Petty play there.
Tom Petty, that would be good. So the music scene is great. I mean, Seattle's such a great world-class city. It's known for, a lot of people that haven't ever been there, all they really think and know about it is the rain. And I have to tell you, it was about 3 weeks ago. I was in the Puget Sound with a friend of mine on his boat fishing. And I'm not really a fisherman, but if you like fishing, this was a perfect day for it. And we're just cruising along and we look up and we've got Mount Baker in the background, 10,000 foot peak. And then you've got this beautiful blue water there and the sun was shining. And we pulled some fish out of the water and made fish tacos that night. And it is a beautiful place to live, to be from, to visit. I feel like I left something out, but there's a lot of reasons to like it. And I will say this too, from a standpoint of the infrastructure, and we talk a lot about housing and stuff like that. There's definitely a lot of diversity in where you can live in the greater Seattle area. Eastside is where we have spent our time because that's our focus, that's our niche. And everything that I talk about, the greater Puget Sound area, is all available to somebody that's living on the east side. The best thing about living on the east side is you're quick to the mountains and you're still downtown Seattle. So I'll just wrap this segment up. Anything else you want to add, Tucker, about living in the Seattle area?
Well, relating it to real estate, I think the one thing that's really important for people to understand is you mentioned the high prices. But the nice thing about the area is we are considered a high cost area from a loan perspective, which allows people to borrow more money with less down, which that's really unique when you look across the country. Most places are capped at loan amounts in the 700s. Here we can go to almost $1 million with 5% down. And so while prices are high, we can still get people into homes with little out of pocket.
Well, that's awesome. And I think to get some nuances in that, I think when you consider the appreciation on a $500,000 house versus a $750,000 house, while the percentage of the appreciation may be the same, the actual dollars in your pocket are different. So if you're putting 5% down on a $500,000 house, quick math, 5 times 5, that's 25,000. Is that right? Did I do that right? Okay. Versus 5% of 750. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. 7 times 5 is 35,000, 8,000.
37,500.
I was close.
Yeah.
So 37,000. But from a dollars to dollars standpoint, right? When you appreciate it 5% at 750, right? That's another 35,000 on the 35,000 investment. But if you appreciate it 5% at the other one, it's a 25 on 25. So you're investing more and you're actually earning more. I don't know if that's a straight line, it's a quick, easy example off the top of my head, but maybe you can get the idea is that less money down, yet you're able to earn more equity because you're earning at a higher rate. You're earning at the same rate, but a higher dollar amount.
Exactly.
That's what I meant to say. All right. Okay. So we are going to take a very short commercial break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about loan level price adjustments and all the hype associated with that. So join us after this short commercial break.
You take your car to the shop to check under the hood to make sure everything is working properly. You take your body to your doctor every 6 months for a checkup to ensure you're healthy. You get your teeth cleaned at the dentist often. Okay, well, maybe not often. But what are you doing to make sure your house is staying in tip-top shape? At Key Inspection Services, we value quality, expertise, and education above all else. We inspect all types of homes of any size and age, whether you are buying or selling, or just wanting to learn more about your current home. Our services are designed to be a one-stop shop for all homeowner needs. We offer sewer scopes, air quality testing, mold testing, infrared scans, and more. Whether we are reaching new heights on a roof, traversing the trenches of a crawl space, or having a crappy day scoping your sewer, no pun intended, we strive to give you the best service possible. As the #1 home education and inspection company in the Puget Sound region, our goal is to ensure that you are more knowledgeable about your biggest asset at the end of the day. You can easily book online at www.keyinspectionservices.com or give us a call at 800-748-8766.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am joined. Tucker's been here the whole time because we did a crosstalk with Tucker, who is one of the top mortgage originators nationally, and also here in the Pacific Northwest. He is with Guild Mortgage for the past 6 years. Welcome back to the show. Let's talk about these loan level price adjustments. What is all the hype about these things here?
Yeah, so Dan, a big kind of media blitz has come through regarding the lenders changing how we price different loans for different credit profiles. So that's really the bulk of it, is people's perception of, are we going to charge somebody more or less based on their credit score, down payment, and those factors.
Okay, so who are these loan level price adjustments for?
They're for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, did we define them? What are they? Where do they show up on the balance sheet?
Yeah. So interest rates are really a reflection of the risk that the borrower presents to the bank, right? It's a risk analysis, and how risky is Dan for defaulting on the loan. So specific to you, we're using you as the example, you're the borrower. You present a risk level, so a credit score and what goes into that credit score. So on-time payments versus late payments, how leveraged are you? These types of factors, they tell us, or overall, they tell lenders, how likely is this person for a potential default? And then we charge appropriately for that risk that we're taking on by offering you a home loan.
Okay. Is that amount disclosed to the borrower?
Yeah, it can be. It depends on the transparency of the lender, but yeah, that is something that we can show a borrower. Typically, they're just going to see the resulting points or the charge associated with any interest rate that they're going to select. But yeah, a good lender will show you, again, using you as the example, and say, hey, Dan, here's your interest rate options, and here's what is built into that rate. And those loan level price adjustments are set or and scheduled by the HFA, which is the organization that manages Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They kind of pass it down and they say, here's the default risks. Here's what we're seeing in home loans across the board. And here's what you're allowed to charge certain credit profiles. And then we just pass it on through.
Okay. And so that I can share with our watchers or listeners is when they look at the line item and it comes up with the loan origination cost, is it going to be in just that item, or is it going to be a sub item of it?
It depends on the disclosure, but yeah, it is in the origination form or points. Mm-hmm. And the points is usually a subtotal of these adjustments. Okay. So there's usually a base fee and then some add-ons based on this credit profile.
Okay, cool. So essentially, as a borrower, when you get your official lock and rate sheet, you should be able to provide them with what that cost from you, the lender, is. And if they want to go more into specifics, you can help them with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So the purpose of the loan level price adjustments, I think we kind of talked about that. So I think here's the bottom line. The big question, the big newsmaker was that people with great credit are going to be helping people, being penalized, paying more to the benefit of people with crummy credit.
Right. Exactly. That really was the kind of the media spin on it. People with great credit profiles are still going to pay less than people with poor credit. So I think that's the first kind of myth that we should debunk, is they're not going to pay more. What they're doing is they're basically just not hammering the bad credit profiles as bad. And so the way it's looked at is like, if we're not going to charge those people as much, we must be charging these other people more, right? That's just how it was perceived. But in reality, this is a move in the HFA or HFFA or whatever the acronym is. They do this regularly. They're always adjusting these things. And the goal is to try to create homeownership opportunities. How do we tweak these things to help people from renting into home ownership and build wealth. And so that's what they're doing. They're just saying, hey, there's been this market of people in the country that have been underserved. They haven't been given the same opportunity to buy because we are charging them more. How do we help them? How do we get them to be able to afford homes in the market that we just talked about, right? Homes are priced high. If we then charge them a crazy interest rate as well, they can't then compete against the better credit profile. So we're just trying to kind of bring the market together and offer a more level playing field for everybody.
Yeah. And I think this can kind of transition, and maybe we'll talk about this next week, Tucker, is down payment assistance programs. You know,
Sure.
these have administrative costs to them. They're actually down payment assistance where they're grants that money is put out for a down payment for somebody. And it doesn't take any, there's no actual payments on those down payment assistance programs. And contrary to what a lot of people may think, is that even though Seattle has a high cost of living, there are down payment assistance programs that are actually helping buyers right now buy a home in the area. So let's talk a little bit about that next week. How's that sound?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right, cool. Well, Tucker, how do people get a hold of you?
I'm on all the major platforms. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Tucker Maxwell. You can also just Google Tucker Maxwell and Guild Mortgage and I'll come up.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you so much for coming on. Now I'm just going to close this out right here. I forgot the biggest reason for moving to the Seattle area, and that is my Huskies, right? Let's go Dogs. Right. So great football team. The Cougars are way far away, so don't worry about them. They don't win anyways. Love you, Kaylin, to my daughter, who is a graduate of Washington State University. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching. For more content on, moving to the area, reach out to the Eastside Real Estate team. I'm Dan Edwards, managing broker of the team. This is Tucker Maxwell. Wait, right over there, Tucker Maxwell. We thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, Dan.